You caught me eating a banana. Will Robertson, of course, acting up. I do that all the time. It's such a habit for what 7 years I had acting up radio. I'm not going to eat this right now. It would be bad. Like you'd be like, "What are you saying?" I'm already mush mouth sometimes. Filmfestivallive.com. Again, if you watch this show and you're like, "Will," that's me. But if you're watching the show and you're saying, "Wait, I remember the other show I did, which was acting up radio," which who the hell uses radio anymore? What is that? Google it, kids. Anyway, so we're filmfestivallive.com, and we have a great show today. I'm very excited. A film festival that I wish I was there right now, only because I'm tired of it being 10 o'clock and it could be 3 hours later. And I would be in a place that probably isn't. I'm going to ask my guest the weather out there today, but I bet it's not like here. It's like in LA and Hollywood, it's like 100 and something and like humid. Hey, I'm from Chicago, so I don't mind the humidity. Hey, what's not waking up with a wet pillow? Come on. Anyway, so today we're going to be talking to Jason Coombs, who is the Bridgeport Film Festival. Very excited about this, so we're going to get all the information. But before we do, I'm going to, for my actors out. Oh, by the way, if you're watching this, hey Lou, what's happening? If you're watching this on Instagram, or Alex, how are you? Go on to the link, and it should take you to the show. Watch the show live, and don't take this version. Anyway, hey Austin, what's up, brother? Anyway, people from all over the place, from Brazil. My Instagram, by the way, if you're interested, it's Will Roberts Official. It used to be Will Roberts, actor Will Roberts, but apparently I was told that people don't take that word seriously, actor. So I put official. Anyway, very excited about the show today because we're going to talk to a film festival. And if you're out there, and I want to say something really kind of fun and exciting that I found out from Michael Pfeiffer, by the way, the director, that a friend of mine who I've done a couple films with, and he is now in Atlanta, like probably any other smart person. Anyway, he was telling me that the iPhone 13 is coming out. Brunk, 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 brunk. All right. And you know what's cool about that? Is that I have like gimbals and like I got wiggity wax stuff. I got like DSLR things and I got everything from my iPhone because I'm like an iPhone expert, hooked on iPhonics. But I'm here to tell you that that thing has a cinema button on it that allows rack focus. If you know what I'm talking about, you're like, damn. And I think it's only like $1,100 for like a terabyte. I could do the whole show on that, but that would be exciting. Anyway, let's go into the show. And our guest, I'm very excited, Bridgeport. If you don't know where that's at, you're about to. And you better get your pen and pencil. If you're 20 and under, Google paper and pencil. And let's take a look at this film festival. I see him laughing in the background. Bridgeport, take a look at this. Very, very legit promo, by the way. Welcome to the show,
Oh,
Jason.
thank you for having me. I'm so excited. This is so
I,
cool.
I'm excited too. First of all, I have to ask you, right out of the gate, did you edit that down at all?
I wish I did not. I had an awesome volunteer named Milan who definitely did it for us. So she gets all the credit for that. She's amazing.
We're going to get into a lot of different things and we'll ask questions, but first I have to get a couple of out of the way of watching that. What I like about that, and I have conversations with actors all the time because being in the industry for 40 years, I've watched it do a lot of things, and I'm very tech savvy, as I explained with
Mhm.
iPhones, which is something that's extremely important. But I noticed that your demographic in a lot of the films is very young. Not very. I mean in the sense that when you look at film festivals all over the world, which we interview all the time, you'll see.
Yeah.
But what I love about it is that the message obviously is diversity. All the different
Hmm.
things, empowerment. And what I'm wondering is that is the does the Bridgeport Film Festival, are you trying to get the are you really working on getting the young filmmakers out there, or in the loop?
Yeah, that was a big thing for us because Bridgeport. I know in your intro you were talking about does anybody know Bridgeport at all,
Yeah.
but it has like a negative reputation in the media. It's a very urban city. We have a very big industrial past, and
Hmm.
a lot of companies left. Much like in Detroit
I like
or like
Detroit.
Baltimore. Yeah. So a big thing for me and for the team that I was working with was to empower people from Bridgeport and from the neighboring towns and cities to tell their own stories, right? To take back the narrative of what Bridgeport is and to show the real side of Bridgeport through storytelling, right? Through script writing, through any kind of art, actually.
Sure.
But film is my medium, so
Yeah.
yeah, it was
No,
very
that's really
big on that
good. And I mean, I do appreciate that. And you have to kind of acknowledge that this is what this has all been allowing us to do in the last
for
five,
real.
10 years, is to sort of change the narrative from a news perspective and from a film and culture and trending perspective. We've been able to
Hmm.
go out there and say, you don't really get who we are. And film
Yeah.
festivals, as I say this all the time, are the best way for us to do that, because there's really no rules when it comes to a film festival in the sense of people's creativity.
That's
So,
true.
are you getting? I mean, what I love also that I saw in the trailers is that you're very clear, like classes and and sessions and blah 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 blah. I mean,
Yeah.
tell us a little bit about Bridgeport's film festival. By the way, how old is it?
It was our first year, so we just had
Oh,
our first year. It was this past July. We started working on it in during the pandemic in April 2020. Basically, is when I
that's
kind
tough.
of when we started.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was very tough, but it was so rewarding at the end of the day because people really needed that here, right? People really needed a sense of getting out. It was in July, so it was kind of right before the Delta thing was like picking up,
right.
and people were dying to get out. People were dying to do something and to see the arts, and that was like a big thing. Was like again, like empowering people to tell their own stories, right? So having workshops, filmmaker workshops for people to come to and learn the very basics of writing a script, right? And to having the option of like, okay, we have this that you were just talking about. We have this thing in our pockets. How can I use this to tell my story?
Sure.
And giving people the basics. So like they felt, okay, I had this 1 hour workshop and I don't know everything, but I just have a foundation where I can start from and I can build from.
So the question I want to ask you, and again, I,
Hmm.
I always just sort of randomly do this based upon what I see, what I feel, and what I'm experiencing. And I want to say that you seem like a community leader. I want to ask you a question about this film festival. You
For sure.
started it.
Yeah.
Why? And were you
Hmm.
in the industry, or did you see a need? Is there a personal, passionate need that you felt for the community? I
Oh,
know
for
that's a
sure.
lot of
Yeah. So.
questions. I know that was a lot of questions, but I'll repeat them. Go ahead.
Yeah, yeah. If I missed something, definitely. But yeah, I'm an actor, a filmmaker, and a writer. First and foremost, I was working in New York for 8 years before the pandemic. As an actor and independent creator, I created a web series called Shaw that was pretty successful. It's on Sika TV right now, and a
Is
couple
it
other
still
smaller
going?
projects.
Is it still going?
Pandemic put a little wrench in our plans, unfortunately, but we're figuring out the next step.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was like a big thing for me was I love bringing people together. I love the whole thing of community, and I've always been a believer in like working together for other people to share this collective vision. And I had this idea for a film festival a couple years ago, and I was thinking about doing it in New York, but then I was like, New York, like there's so many festivals already there, right? There's
Yeah.
so many resources, the arts and culture is thriving. I'm originally from Bridgeport, and I was like, I want to
Oh,
do
okay.
something. Yeah, I want to do something to give back to my hometown. So maybe this could be the thing, right? I've always had this dream of being like an Oprah type person, right? With like $1 million, I can come in and change things. But I've realized through talking to some of my mentors and people from Bridgeport that you don't have to be an Oprah person to make a change, to make a difference. So I was like,
Especially
okay.
especially nowadays, because that's a very good point. And again, I'm going back to film festivals, is that I've been doing this for 40 years, and the idea of having a voice as an actor.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, back in the day in the 80s, head black and white headshot. When you
mm.
listed yourself, you said actor, and if you
And that's
said
it,
more
right?
than actor, filmmaker, whatever, the casting directors or directors would go, "You got to make up your mind." Well,
Hmm.
really? Now it's weird if you don't have a couple of monikers, a couple of titles
Yeah.
on you, because it shows that you understand 360 of the industry, and not just like I'm going to be in my green room waiting for my red M&Ms. So, please go on. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's so true. I think it's so important to be a multi hyphenate in this day and age, especially like, being a black queer writer like I am. It's like I had to learn how to tell my own stories, right?
Right.
I didn't want to be pigeonholed in just playing a certain type, which people told me I would only play given my size and, my skin color or whatever. So that was like a big thing for me. And wasn't sure if I could write. Like I've always written as a kid, but it wasn't until like I moved to New York and, my mentor Victor Verhey was like, you have something here, like
Yeah.
continue doing it, and I was like, okay, and I kind of just kept doing it. People were like, you have a voice to share. And that's like, big thing why I love, like you were saying, like film festivals are so important because they give independent creators the opportunity to tell their own stories, and they give them the confidence, right? And
Yeah.
you see stories on the big screen and you're like, wow, maybe I can do that,
Right.
you know?
And your point is extremely valid in the sense that, I remember the first time, like recently, a couple of years ago, I produced a film when I was in Pernambuco, Brazil for 46
Oh
days,
wow.
doing a Netflix film. And the other lead of the film said, "Hey, let's go film something." And I've told this story before. It's called Signal. 11-minute short.
Okay,
It's won like 20 awards. It's won, a
that's
lot of different
amazing.
things, and I got a couple of best actors. Thank you. But the point of that is this. Well, thank you. But the point is this: is that you see your message, being a queer writer, color, all the different things, whatever it is, white guy, middle age. I'm not, this and that. Please don't put me,
Yeah.
because it's difficult. Because as an actor, like right now, I'm fighting against the fact that a lot of my agents are saying, they're literally saying, we don't want you, Will, because you're a middle-aged white guy. And I'm like, but I'm
Mhm.
liberal. They're like,
Yeah, yeah,
they
yeah.
don't, but they don't care. And I believe in people. And they're but the
Mhm.
point is that in order for me or you to be able to get
Mhm.
out there, think about this: when you're out there trying to develop yourself, or you're getting people to know who you are passionately, you're stopped in
Yeah,
the regular world. But in this world that we have, you create something, they sit there, and guess what? 20 years ago, you couldn't watch yourself on the big screen unless you're in a big film. Now you
yeah.
go, yeah, that's me. And they go, we're
Awesome.
really proud of you. And you know what that is? That's that. I don't know about
Mm.
you, but you can pay all the money in the world as an actor, but you give me a couple of these, we're square. So
Yeah.
I appreciate the fact that you're doing that.
Thank you. Thank you so much. You need too. I mean, that's incredible.
Well, the show's not about me; it's about you.
Ah.
So, so now at this point, the film festival was in July. And
Yeah.
are you already ramping up to start pushing into 2022?
Yeah. So, I mean, it was our first year and we didn't expect it to be so big.
Yeah.
Um, like we were like, okay, we're going to do this in this thing COVID time. We don't know what's going to happen, but we had like over 600 people
Are
in
you
person over
kidding?
the 3 days.
Wow.
Yeah.
And did you
Yeah.
do virtual?
We did hybrid, yeah. So it was 3 days in person, and then we had a week virtually. So people like came in person, they missed certain blocks, or like if they didn't feel comfortable coming
Yeah.
during the pandemic, and that's something we want to continue. That's a big thing. We're like, okay, even when COVID's over, hopefully soon, um, we want to keep the whole virtual aspect, just give accessibility to people who may not be able to come in person, whether like whatever reason they have, give them the option to be able to be part of this broader community that we're building.
Well, to be honest with you about your statement is that
Mhm.
I'm always telling, again, I'm back to actors, but creatives as well. Let me see if I have this right. A film festival is trying to decide whether or not they want to be in person and virtual. They're like, well,
Mm.
like I interviewed Austin, I think it was, or something like that, and they're like, yeah, we're doing only in person. Well, you're Texas.
Yeah.
Point is, um,
Yeah.
But and with all due respect, my point
Yeah,
is that if you're telling me that you don't want all of your films to be seen not out your window in your community, but in around the world and give your people opportunities around the world, I say to you, you're smoking weed and you're smoking too much. Because
yeah,
the point,
yeah,
you know what I'm saying is that you give
yeah. To get eyes on it,
virtual.
right?
Yeah, you give one day of virtual, it's going to be, a magnet. You couldn't possibly do the same thing in your own area because people aren't going to fly into Bridgeport to go to a film festival unless they're really,
Yeah,
really dedicated. And De Niro's hanging.
yeah,
So
yeah,
I think that's an important factor. I think going forward, there is some positives about COVID, and this is one of them, and it's allowed us to become a larger community.
for
So,
sure. That's definitely true.
do
And
you
it's
have?
it was.
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry.
No, no.
No, I was just gonna say, like, it was also cool because like there's some people who could only come on Friday, right? So they couldn't see all the blocks. So they were like, oh, like I want to see the rest of the films, and like I was like, okay, like you already bought an in-person ticket. Here's a code for the virtual, and they were able to see everything. They had a couple extra days to watch everything. So like, if that didn't happen, they would only see what maybe 10 to 15 films when we were screening over 70 that weekend. So like there was definitely more options for people to see at their leisure of their own home. And I know like films, right? Everybody has that the big debate like films are meant to be seen on the big screen. That's very true, but it's also 2021, about to be
Yeah,
2022,
I
and
got, I got, I got bad news for them.
I know.
That 89, 80, in my last check, 89% of people in the world are watching your films, your things
Yeah.
here. That's why, because I know all the metrics, that people a lot
Hmm.
of times in the lower thirds will do closed captioning. Why? Because people are like in places where they can't have it up and they're going and they're staring at their screen and they're going, oh, now if you don't have work,
Yeah.
you're done. Point
They're
is,
closing it.
it's if 89% are looking at it on this, the bad news I have to tell you is that you're a little old school on how you think that your audience is wanting it delivered.
Yeah.
So
It's
there it
so
is.
true. I mean, we have to adapt. We have to adapt with the times.
Yeah. And again, from an actor's standpoint, if you can put something together and not, I mean, because how long you been an actor?
I've been acting professionally since I was like 20, so like about 14, 15 years.
Oh, okay. I thought you
Yeah.
were 20, so I
Oh
won't.
yeah, I wish.
So okay, so that's a good. You are in that time frame where you can honestly say, yeah, I understand the industry because you were when we were still using mini DV or tape, you know.
Mhm.
But back 15 years ago, is there any way you could have possibly reached or put out to a director or a casting director or anybody incognito and
No.
put something up? No, you couldn't. You just couldn't.
Yeah.
And now it's something that if you do it right, because I always talk about there's always, there's netiquette. You want to make sure that you're not
Connecticut.
going. Like I did a film in Mumbai, India, and a really big Bollywood film. And so I get all these people direct messages going, hey Will, can you give me an acting job? I'm like, I don't even know who you are. But there,
Yeah.
there's etiquette, and you anyway. So
Yeah.
let's talk about this a little bit more. You had that many people. How did you get out there? I mean, did you just simply go? By the way, Facebook, we're going to be doing a film festival, and I just
Mm.
gotta believe that you singularly have decided to do this is such an endeavor, such a
Well,
large.
I
You have
can't
all
say
your
it was
hair.
me singularly.
Yeah,
I know. I had to dye it because it was going gray. No, but I can't
me
say singularly.
too. Me too.
Yeah. I had a huge support system. I worked with a nonprofit organization called Groundwork Bridgeport, who
Oh,
they've been around in Bridgeport for 20 years, and they were like so on board with the idea. They wanted to bring more revitalization to the city, and they were like, okay, we want to bring more culture. Like, let's do it. So I had a lot of
yeah.
support from there. I had about 25 to 30 volunteers, like people who like
Wow,
weren't getting paid, who were watching the films, who were
love
helping with
them.
fundraising.
Interns.
Yeah, right. And yeah, I mean, we kind of just we did everything we could. We were like doing mailing lists, right? So we did it at the Klein Memorial, which is like a historic theater here in Bridgeport. Martin Luther King spoke there
Oh, I
back
remember.
in the
Yeah.
50s.
Hmm?
Yeah, so it's a beautiful theater. They have a mailing list of like 25,000 people, so they pushed it out for us. We were
That
putting up lawn signs around the city. We were putting flyers in restaurants. We were going door to door passing out flyers. And then we were on the radio. We had some local news 12 actually interviewed us a couple times. So we
Wow.
kind of like pulled out all the stops because we really like were nervous about
Yeah.
COVID
Yeah. You
and people
said,
not coming.
did you say radio? Sorry. Uh,
Yeah, I know. I know. In your intro, you're like, "What's radio?" But yeah, people tune in. They listen on their computers now.
I know they
You
do.
know.
You know,
Yeah.
you brought up an interesting thing. I've never had. I don't think I've had the depth of this conversation before with other film festivals, and it's
Mhm.
because I really do see that community level. And also, you're talking about, like you said, like Detroit. Sorry, um,
Yeah.
but you talk about what's happened to the city and how you're trying to help it. It really brings to me, like, I think next year I'm going to give you a marketing idea. I think you should
Yeah.
go to the Chamber of Commerce, because Chamber of Commerce have a lot of money because they need to bring people into the city. And I've worked and
Yeah.
shot and done things for chamber people. And the
Mhm.
bottom line is that if you had a category that said beautify or help understand our city, and the filmmakers went there, get them to give you a little something, something.
I love that.
Yeah, I just think that's it, because looking at your stuff and looking at the trailer, I can tell, first of all, the demographic is young. Who wouldn't
Mhm.
want their young people in their city to help redefine what people may be thinking of what your mom and dad and grandpa were doing? So
Yeah.
I love that idea. I love the idea of you working with the community. So
Thank
when
you.
do you open up again for submissions? Do you know?
This upcoming Friday.
Whoa, get out
Yeah,
of
September
line.
17th. Is that the 17th? Yes. 2 days from yes.
Do you work? I mean, do you have? I mean, I always say this to actors, and I feel like I'm insulting people when I say this. Do you have like a real job? I don't mean that. What I mean is that this is a large undertaking.
Yeah.
Is this all you do?
Um, so
How long?
so before the pandemic, I was a working actor, but also that comes with working in a restaurant sometimes, right? So I worked
Okay.
in a restaurant, I worked in the theater. Of course, pandemic happened, life completely changed.
Yes.
So right now I don't have I guess a full time job, so I'm doing a lot of freelance work right
Oh,
now.
good.
So
Good.
like I'm helping a couple organizations. I do like social media stuff for
Oh,
folks.
good.
Yeah, I started my own production company, so I'm trying to do a little bit of things with that as well. I
Yeah.
figured now's the time to kind of like rebrand myself and to really taste this art,
Yeah. Yeah, no,
and
no,
make
no. I
it.
mean, you're absolutely right. And, I've had this conversation before on the show, and I'll repeat this. By the way, before I do, if you want to
Yeah.
follow Jason on Instagram, just go to Jason A.
Oh
Coombs.
yeah.
And make sure you spell it with two O's, because I thought it was Combs and I made a
I
mistake.
got that my whole life. It's okay.
But just be lucky you're not considered, they didn't say Hannity and Combs.
Oh
Anyway,
yeah.
sorry about that. So one thing I want to say is, please follow him and the film festival. I'm sure lots of stuff will be directed towards that. But we're going to take a small break, and when we come back, I want to ask a little bit of a more philosophy question here. So hang tight, and
Yeah.
we'll be right back. Can you stick around for a little bit?
Thank you. Of course. Yeah. Thank you
Okay.
so much.
Yeah, hang tight. So, all right, actors, I say this all the time about marketing yourselves and getting out there and doing things. I think Jason has really helped kind of bring this home, in the sense of, you can do it, grab this. I always say this to people, and by the way, the whole announcement with the 13 plus or whatever, it doesn't matter what you have. I shot Signal, the film that I've gotten a lot of awards, on a 5S. Now, that's back 2, 3 years ago, and then in post. But again, I'll say this statement is that ever since Blair Witch, you can shoot things through your underwear, dirty, and you could produce a film, and people will go, "Oh, I like that look." Yeah, that's dirty underwear look. It's a Lux called dirty underwear. Anyway, but I say to you all the time that actors look. I'm right now going through a frustrating time. I've got some things I'm on hold for. I'm pinned on a film, and it's blah, blah, blah. And it's like, oh, this is so frustrating because they make us wait. It really is frustrating. So what I did was, one of our past people, um, she's an amazing film creator in I'm sorry, Colorado, and we're creating a web series that I wanted to try to do. Point is, don't sit on your thumbs, because you really need to keep moving and doing things. That brings up my point about marketing, and we're going to watch this quick clip. I told you about this before. I made an ad and I put it on places like Facebook and so on, that a new casting directors, and producers were hanging out, plus trying to buy ads on like breakdowns, different places. And the ad looked like a furniture ad saying, casting directors, you want to know how to be successful, click this. When they click this, and they got in their email too, because we can't market them, because then they go, oh, I don't want to deal with you. I'm never going to call you in. So I put this together when they clicked it. Hey, thanks for clicking the banner. Now, I know you're dying to know what it is that makes a successful casting office, or director, or production. And the answer is actors. See, you can have a great script, great casting director, a director, producer, but here's the problem. You always need good actors. To be or not to be. But let's face it, there's way too many of us. And we can't market to you, which is odd considering that they call it show business, and that means that there's business in the show. We can't call you, we can't send you an email. We just submit to the breakdowns like the other 4,800 that submitted to you on that casting call, with no action-packed pitch letter, sales letter, and all we do is stand in line and remain quiet. Let's be honest. Lines are for Starbucks, not for careers. If I still have your attention, I want you to watch this next 46-second video. Now don't go away, because there's a quiz after this.
Detective Gennaro, I need to speak with Rex Wilson.
Rex is already out there on the speedway for his practice run.
You know what I mean.
Now let me see your shotgun.
Here, cool it down.
Just like your old man, huh? Is there a problem, soldier? I'm asking you a question, Lieutenant.
Running in clown shoes. This is gonna be fun.
Time! What if they need more time? See? That wasn't so painful. And I even saw a couple of you laughing. So if you like what you saw, operators are standing by.
Yeah, Will Roberts is great. For sure. Oh, you want to book him?
That's my agent. And if you didn't like my approach, well, I'm Daniel Craig, and I hope you enjoyed this commercial. So again, I say to you, look, I did all that I grabbed clips off of YouTube that, you can do. And I put together my demo that way. I made what I call a flash demo, which is kind of something new in the sense that, you, as an actor, you can't create your demo reel or your whatever you want to call it and be too long, because they won't look at it. So I created a 46-second thing that was like full of a lot of my skills. But the point is that if you're not doing stuff like this every single day, or film festivals, you're missing the boat. And honestly, if you don't know how to shoot, edit, and do all these different things, even on a basic level, and you're an actor, you probably should quit your job as an actor and become a barista, because that's much simpler, I'm telling you. But the point is that get out there and promote yourself. All right, one more thing I want to say. Of course, I'm going to give a shout out to a service that is called formovierentals.com. This is a good friend of mine in Los Angeles and Hollywood. I do a lot of cop stuff because of my weapon skills, and a lot of SWAT stuff and so on. But this guy is awesome. His name is David Hill. He has props and uniforms and full SWAT teams, and I have a full LAPD uniform that I use if I'm doing it, because it's something that's essential. All those years of theater and collecting really awesome costuming, like really legit stuff, has all paid off, because you should always have something. And I can tell you stories back in the 80s when I had all my, like, a trunk full of stuff, and going into an audition, and without being too overboard, but giving the flavor. And it's so important. If you need to rent anything, formovierentals.com. All right, back to the show. So Jason, thanks again for coming in. And one of the last things I want to ask you, first of all, are you having a good time?
Yes, thank you so much.
Yeah. So the last thing I want to ask you is kind of your philosophy. I always ask people to give the best 4-letter word in the English language is free. And the thing I use is a little free advice. Now, I say this because it doesn't have to be about the industry, doesn't have to be about film festivals, doesn't have to be about, it could be like, I want to show you how to make donuts, or it could be like, show you how to live a wonderful life. And this is my theory. This is your chance
Mhm.
to really kind of, if you have any thoughts about, and I'm talking a little bit so you can think about this, if there's anything that
Thank you.
your elevator pitch for making people feel better and doing that, because you seem like the type of person that would be a speaker. So if you don't mind, can you give us a little philosophy?
Yeah, I mean, as soon as you said that, the first thing that came in my mind was to always be kind, because you never know. I mean, we all know that this industry is small, right? You never know who you may meet, who's going to be the next person you're going to end up auditioning for, or being able to like pitch an idea to. So always, and don't just do it to know that you're going to maybe get something in return one day, but just be kind to people. I think that's the biggest thing, and I've gotten more jobs by just being like a genuine kind of human being that's like dependable, than actually like going and auditioning sometimes. Like people have called me in just because they're like they know like, Jason, doesn't matter how talented he is or we think he is, but he's gonna show up. He's gonna be a nice, decent person to work with. And I think that's like the most important thing. I always tell people that like be kind. It's kind of,
That
like a little cheesy, but
No, no, it's kind of, no, I don't think it's cheesy at all. And I think that when someone asked me about the same thing, when they asked me about acting, they go, "So can you give me like all the schools you've gone to?" I went, "None, went to none." Can you give me know what you think of how can I be a better actor? And I would say, be you and be kind, because you have to
yeah.
understand. Same thing with what you're saying about being kind, is that
Hmm.
when you ask a director or a casting person or a producer, why do you like working with these people, in most
Hmm.
cases they'll say, well, they're really a nice person, they're easy to work with.
Easy to
And
work with, yeah.
I think you hit on one of the actual real essentials of being in the industry or in life or in business, is that you don't want to be the person that people are over in the corner going, "Oh shit, here comes Will again." Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
so he's so high maintenance. You don't want
Hmm.
that. You want to come to the what you do, whatever, whether it's film festival, actor, whatever, and you want to make
Hmm.
sure, like you said, that you're a nice person, because I'd rather hang out with a nice person than someone who can do the job, because there's a billion of us who can do the job. So I appreciate that.
Exactly.
I think it's a
Yeah.
very legit comment. Yeah.
And I don't like let people take advantage of you. Like
Right.
make sure you stand up for yourself and you
Yeah.
set good boundaries.
Yeah.
But I don't think there's anything wrong with showing up to set early. With a smile on your face, being grateful, thanking people. I
Yeah.
worked with not to like name drop or anything, but I worked with Whoopi Goldberg on a set, on a really small set one time, and she's an EGOT, right? She has an Emmy, a Grammy, to Oscar, a Tony, and she came there and it was like a student, it was a MFA student project. She came
Wow.
there, she greeted everybody like, hello, my name is Whoopi. We're all like, well, we know who you are, but she was just so gracious.
Guess
She
my
had
name.
a scene. Yeah, exactly. She had a scene where she was like being like an Oprah type of character, like interviewing someone. And of course they did her coverage first to get her out of there. And like, so they did all her coverage first in the morning, and then they were like, okay, like you can leave. And she was like, no, like I'm gonna stay and I'm gonna give my acting partner what he gave me. And she stayed for the second half of the
Yes.
day.
Yes.
Yeah. And then to
That.
top it off, at the end of the day, she thanked every single person. And like it wasn't a big crew; it probably was like 20 something of us. But she went around and said, "Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Thanks for like allowing me to be here." Like I was like, this is someone who's like I've looked up to since I was a kid. Who's like
Well, she's an
here, right?
icon.
And
She's an icon.
yeah, an icon, exactly. And she was just so gracious. And I was like, wow, if I can be like that in everything I do, like that humble and that appreciative, like I think I don't know, I'll
No,
be
no, I think
a
you're.
great person.
I think you're right, and I think that to back that up, I was doing a film about a month ago, and there was a young lady that I was doing. I was a detective, and
Hmm.
I was the captain, and I was doing my line. Actually, I said, "Hey, why don't you do? Can we shoot her lines first?" And he goes, "Yeah, absolutely, director, great guy." And I said, "I just want to make sure that I'm there for her." So like she's doing it, and I'm over here going, yeah, you know what, the blah blah, and I'm looking at her now, and I mean, of course, I knew my lines, but my point is that
Yeah.
I was really giving it to her, and she's like, wow. And then we took a break and we did her lines, my lines, and she wasn't
Mhm.
there, and I'm like,
Oh
where is she?
no.
To oh well, Jane, come here. So we need you to be. I go, yeah, just go ahead and be there, and she goes like this. How many times comes down?
Oh.
I go, hey, hold, I'm sorry. Do you mind? Yeah, and the director knew, and I'm like, can I ask you a favor? I don't want you to be upset by this, but I'd really like you to continue to act. And if you don't mind, because you know
Yeah.
the lines really well, can you just like give it to me? But give me more, because they can't
Mhm.
see you. And it would really help if you could do that. And she's like, she felt a little humiliated, but what am I going to do? You're right, though, because I walked out of there, and you know what? I'd never hire her. Why would you?
Yeah.
We do
Yeah.
this. If you were like this on the air, I'd go, "Hey, that was awesome. Neat promo. Bye bye. We're moving on." Because we make a
Yeah.
choice. You're doing a film festival. You make a choice to do this because, and by the way, when I asked it, what if you're going to do it again, it's somewhat of a joke because I wonder if every time someone does a film festival, they don't go, "Oh, next year."
Yeah.
I'm out of here.
Yeah.
That was the most abuse. I could go hang out with my family if I wanted that kind of abuse. So, point is,
Yeah.
yeah, you got to
Yeah.
be kind, and I appreciate that. Jason Coombs, artistic director, and much more than that, actor, professional actor, Bridgeport Film Festival.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming on the show. You're awesome.
Oh, thanks for having me. This was great. It was great talking to you. I loved your promo. I'm like, I gotta step up my game. Holy crap.
Well, I get,
I was taking
I get
notes. I was like, geez.
I get tired of we most of the time actors 99.9% of the time we just sort of are marketing and we're just out there
Mm,
going and it's tough because most actors don't get again we can't really market people so we have to be clever. Thank God for Instagram. I hate Facebook, but thank God for
yeah.
Instagram because it allows us to be clever. But on the same point, I can have a whole show about don't just focus on your sleeve tattoos, your rings, and your whatever, and then going like this all the time or
Yeah.
whatever. Because unless that's your deal, that's your brand as an actor,
Mm,
just be an actor and put that stuff out there.
yeah.
So anyway, I really appreciate you. I think we'll have you come on again and maybe just talk to
Oh,
me
thank
because I
you.
really like talking to you.
I would love anytime. Anytime you want me, I'm here. Thank you so much.
Absolutely, and by all means, we'll get Sal is my right hand guy. We will get the
Yes,
information when
Sal.
it's released. Yeah, he's great. He created
Yeah.
something really cool, and I'm glad we've been able to join forces. But I think
Yeah.
what we would like to do is maybe if you get the announcement saying that it's open to submit, I would like to post that on filmfestivallive.com. And if you
Thank
want to
you.
get a hold of Jason, go to Jason A. Coombs, and that's with two O's. Check up on the right hand screen here and go there, follow him, but not really follow him like stalky ish. But anyway, check him out, like his stuff, and engage because he's an engaging guy. Thanks for coming on the show, brother.
Thank you so much, Paul. I appreciate you.
You
Have a great
bet.
day.
Hang on, I'm going to say goodbye to you. Give me 1 second to get out of here. Everybody, really appreciate you coming on the show and watching it. Again, filmfestivallive.com. I'm Will Roberts. And if you have any questions, you can certainly put them in the chat. We're all over the place doing this. And we're on a mission to make sure that people understand that film festivals, for the longest time, film festivals have been sitting in the back seat of the car. And now they're not only in the front seat, but a lot of the driver's seats because we can't go to Hollywood and go, I got a film, ready? Fund it. Let's make it happen. Come on. Those days, yeah, maybe, but nowadays people are realizing that they can have their own power by doing just film festivals. So go do something, go do one of those. And we'll see you next time on the show. See you then.